And now, coming to you live from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, it's the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal.
Hi, and welcome to the Sheena Metal Experience, only on Parapod TV. I'm Sheena Metal. I'm a psychic medium and an energetic healer and an interfaith minister and a 29-year talk radio host in Los Angeles and beyond. In 2 months, I'll be able to say I'm a 30-year talk radio host. And I'm also a creative and a performing artist and a paranormal survivor. And I come to you live from my home in Southern California every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. Right now, I come to you live from my bed because I'm recovering from a leg injury. So now you're really getting the grassroots me. This show is about spirituality. It's about creativity. It's about humanity. It's about passion. It's about service. It's about becoming and then maintaining being your best you in this big, beautiful world, and then inspiring others to do the same. And every week on the show, it may be my show. It is the Sheena Metal Experience after all, but that doesn't mean it's not always and forever your experience. My guest today has been a friend for a long time. This is his first time visiting us here on Parapod TV. He's a wonderfully talented songwriter, composer, performer. He's got a new album out. We're going to show some videos from it tonight. Please welcome to the show my very dear friend, Gregor. How are you, my friend?
Hey, how are you?
Good to see you.
I love the
nice
applause.
To have you here in my bed with me.
I want that applause. I just want that to wake up in the morning.
People just come for the applause. It's why they're here. So how are you, my friend? I like to ask people this question now. This is a question I never had before. What was your life like during the COVID pandemic and the quarantine? Did you become more creative during that time? Because I think for a lot of people, especially my musician friends, that was a time of great, it was a great prolific time creatively.
I think it was the seed of great prolific stuff, but it was sort of this weird, as soon as the pandemic started, I'm going to say this anyway, because I don't care. I was working on a movie that was like, everybody was saying, who do I have to screw to get off this picture?
Right.
And basically, it just kind of went on and on and on and on and on through the pandemic. And so it was sort of like everybody gets into more self-reflective mode when you have nothing to do but sit in a room by yourself and think about your own thoughts and your own feelings and where you are in your life and where you want to be and where trying to get rid of any kind of baggage or regrets, or because regrets are sort of not productive. So I think it was the seed and the impetus for me to sort of take myself into a different place creatively. Yeah. So it may not have started when the pandemic happened, but I think that there were a lot of events in my life that unfolded during that time that resulted into where I am now. I think that's kind of what really happened.
Yeah. So it was a catalyst for what put you here today.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah. I think it was for so many of us. I mean, for me, it was getting out of a rut that I was in creatively and in life, and giving myself the permission to sit for a while and think about what I really wanted, and being able to launch my career in a new way that honestly would not have been possible had there not been the pandemic. This kind of thing where you come to me for wherever you are in the world and I come to you from wherever I am in the world. This was considered sort of less than production pre-pandemic, and now it's just the norm. So I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it's opened our world up in a beautiful way and made all of our art and our creativity and our spirituality more accessible to everyone.
It's like it was an excuse for everything to reset. Like it's almost like the universe will force that to happen. If like when you're stuck, you don't know whether to stay where you are, where you don't know whether to move forward. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're getting stuck in a loop, Yeah. And I think that when everything gets pulled out from you, just like not having toilet paper,
right? Yeah.
Or not being able to go out and socialize with people, that just like the regular thing, going to get a cup of coffee with my dog without having to wear a hazmat suit to get a cup. You go out and get the mail.
Yeah,
it makes you really like start and reflect, and it's all fragile. like we could have all this stuff. We're not around long enough to have any kind of perspective on the cycles of life. Like
Yeah.
I was watching this fascinating podcast with this futurist Ted Gioia, who Rick Beato is a musician, a fabulous musician who has like a kind of an instructional musical podcast. It's for like music nerds, but he goes beyond that and talks about a lot of, just, more wide a range of things. And he
Sure.
was talking to this guy and he was talking about how life is in like 50-year cycles and like 200-year cycles. And most people don't live through the change in a cycle. We're kind of like living through one now. Like there's sort of some weird, I don't know, you're the metaphysical and spiritual expert.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
But I feel like that there's definitely some huge shift going on right now.
Oh, there's absolutely a shift. And I think it was certainly happening on a spiritual level way before the pandemic. I think we're moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And it's been happening for a long time. Remember the song came out, we were kids, the dawning of the age of Aquarius. We're still trying to get there. It's something that takes a while to move from one age into another, but it's moving out of an age that's very three-dimensionally based and moving into an age that's more spiritually based. So we're in essence evolving into more spiritual beings, which I think overall, if you look at most of humanity, you're seeing that. So I think moving more into the ethereal, right? Because the internet is very ethereal right now. We're not sitting next to each other. We're not touching each other. We're touching each other spiritually through the ethereal nature of the internet. I think COVID forcing everything, so many things creatively to go to that form and realizing that, I mean, there were episodes, right, of Saturday Night Live where everybody was at home and they were doing the skits.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. And it worked. So I think we learned that we don't always need to be in the same room to make something happen.
Don't you think that in order for that to happen, people have to understand the premise of exchanging energies, whether you're physically in the room or not? Because like some of those things felt flat to me. Like if I see a concert with a bunch of people in a box, or if I see a comedy show or an award show and everybody's talking to each other that way, it feels like if we can get used to that, because we understand that energy has nothing to do with us being physically next to each other. It could just be, you and I are exchanging energies right now.
Right.
But you have to like believe it, because it's like, I think everyone sort of almost convinced themselves that it's not the same.
Right.
No,
I think COVID helped us. The pandemic and lockdown helped us to get past that hump, because I remember there were times where people would get upset if they couldn't come. I can't come into the studio. What? There's no studio to come into. That's not real. Now nobody even questions that. I'm like, they're like, do I have to come somewhere? And I'm like, no, guess what? You do it from your house. Fantastic. Yeah. Everybody's just gotten used to this idea that the three-dimensional world isn't the only world that exists here on the earth plane. And I think that also opens people up more to the energies of music and art, because most art, right? Not fine art. And I guess you could say not films, because it's a concrete thing, but what's going on in the film is very ethereal, but music is as ethereal as can be, right? I mean, it's happening to you energetically and it's affecting you energetically. You don't need to be in a room with a musician playing in order to feel that beauty.
I mean, it's funny that you bring it up, because a lot of the collaborators that are on this record that I'm talking about today, I met online. So like Loki Rothman, who's this incredibly talented composer, guitarist, and songwriter and singer and what have you. He does everything. He lives in South Africa. He lives in Cape Town. And like one day he hit me up on Instagram and just said, "Hey dude, I love your monitor setup. How do you have 3 monitors and blah, blah, blah. How do you set," like nerd music stuff. And we were just like going back.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I just clicked on something and he was playing like this Randy Newman thing. And like the chord changes were like, oh, this guy's deep. He's not just some guy, he was like, this was like the shit. And I was thinking, wow, so when we got into that, we started like just exchanging ideas. And then we started writing over FaceTime for like, I think a couple years before he came out here for a week. And then we started writing in person, and we do like these marathon sessions for like 2 weeks, and then he'd go back. And then I just finally went there in February, and we did like a 2-week marathon of writing, recording, and shooting a couple music videos. So like that was one guy. And then Michael Haddad, one of the other co-writers on some of the songs, who's a dear friend of mine now, we met on Facebook. I reached out to him because I'm a huge Billy Joel fan, and he was doing some songs in the Attic stuff on his Facebook. Just fun, seemed like a cool guy. And he's like, he's got that New York vibe, like that grit,
Yep.
East Coast grit. And I thought, this guy's cool. So we just started becoming friends, and the same thing. And then he would come over and we would write. So a lot of online collaboration, a lot of exchanging of files from people from all over the place, like doing
That's
sets
awesome.
remotely.
And did they all record here, or did some just record and send you the files?
Well, I went to South Africa when we did the South Africa sessions. I was in the room for a lot of it,
Okay.
and I had my tracks were done. I brought my files to them, and then
Okay.
we went to Loki's studio, which is Rothman Records. You can check them out on Instagram. And he like would record his guitar parts there. Some of his guitar parts he recorded when he was in LA in my studio. And then the drummer, Sheldon Yoko was this great drummer that we did in a studio called Sunset Recording Studios in Stellenbosch. I think it was Stellenbosch in South Africa. And then we did the bassist on one of the songs did it in his house here in LA. And then John, the drummer, John Ferraro, did some drums on a song here in Orange County. He did that there. So there were a lot of things in LA and a lot of things there, and a combination of everything. Just like the vocals, I did them all here in my studio. And then I recorded one of the songs at Loki's studio in South Africa because I kind of needed somebody to like help me sound like there are certain songs that are more difficult for me to do and feel believable. Like even though I can write in a certain styles, like because I've gotten used to like wearing a lot of hats in the writing world, but singing is different because you have to like act out a song and it has to be believable. So
Right.
I needed his help with that, So, but yeah, so the internet it really took it was a huge role in all this, just making it possible to record. Like when I did that Chicago record, we did the whole thing during the pandemic, file sharing. They did the horns in Sedona, Arizona. They did the vocals in Canada. I mixed and I played all my parts here, and I did it all in Pro Tools here with my friend Bob, the engineer. And then I sent that back to them. They put the horns on. It was like literally it was back and forth.
Fantastic.
Back and forth. The only thing that you miss is the spontaneity of players all together in a room. That's the only thing you don't get.
Yes, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, but even a lot of bands I know now, they rehearse for live shows online. Everybody's on Zoom and they rehearse that way. And I think it's magic, the possibilities that it's opened up. The
How
ways
are they doing that with no latency? How are they doing that? Like, how are they playing live? Like, is it undetectable latency? Because it seems like
maybe they don't have there's not a lot of latency. Like you never know, right? We're not having any right now. Sometimes I use StreamYard for my studios, and sometimes we have it and sometimes we don't. Like right now, we could Sarah sing a duet together right now and be fine.
But would there be a delay? Like there's not a detectable delay when we're having a conversation because we don't know how much space is between us. But if I was going like this, and then you try to do it with me, would it be in time?
Let's try it.
It's in time. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. We're fine now. Yeah.
Why is that in time?
We could totally do it now. But there are times when it's messed up and somebody has to go out and come back in until it's okay. Because it's changed. I'm telling you, it's becoming the most magic thing.
Yeah.
It's my, I do I'm an interfaith minister, and I do my services once a month. And I'm thinking about now, my new thing is trying to figure it out so I can have people on that used to come on and we'd sing duets and stuff and actually do that this way and see if we can make it work. I'm fascinated by the never ending possibilities of all of this. I think it's amazing because the ability to collaborate with people all over the world. I mean, that's as musicians, that's what we've always wanted, right? Is being able to say, hey, I loved your stuff that I just heard. Would you send me a little part for the song? And they say, hey, could you send me a vocal for this? And I mean, I think that's wonderful. And
it's fun too. Like when you see like some artists will leave a verse, they'll sing a song on a verse and then they'll leave a verse blank and then they'll let somebody on Instagram like collab with them and they'll do like, I always love that because everybody comes up with something different. They just leave it open. Like you can make it a rap, you could make it like a free form melodic thing, or you can make it structured. It's like cool. And then we'll have all these different versions and you have no idea what the person's going to come up with. It's very fun.
I love that. I think we should play something because you got 3 great videos from this new record. So tell everybody a little bit about the new record and let's set something up and let's play it. And then we'll come back and I want to talk more about your process.
Yeah. Okay. So this record, I mean, the only permission that I have to be an actual artist like meaning like a performing artist, is the right that I gave myself, basically. I'm not signed artist. My whole career has been behind the scenes, like producing and songwriting and composing for visual media, like scores and things like that, and featured songs for movies and TV. And so, like, when you're writing a song for an artist versus writing a song for a plot point in like a script where it's being the storyline and the motivation and the inspiration for the song is being dictated by some preconceived thing, is much different than writing a song about your own experience. It's like a very different, more vulnerable.
Yes.
It's quite scary in a way. It's weird because it's like, then you want to do it justice, but then you also have to feel like you can serve the story and be true to it when you're performing it. There's so many more hats that you have to wear when you're doing that. So it was like a challenge for me. I kind of just wanted to see what would happen. It all started with this weird like situation I got in last January. I think it was last January. In February of right up until the Super Bowl of last year of 23, where I was seeing somebody that completely ghosted me out of the blue, and I didn't know what ghosting was. I was like, "What's ghosting?" I was like, "What is that?" Like, so then, like, because I was in a long-term relationship for a long time, so I didn't even know what online dating was. Like, hey, what's up? Not much. HBU question mark. Ha ha ha. LOL. It's all like kind of bizarre, quite frankly.
Yes.
So I thought, this is freaking weird, So then when the ghosting thing happened, I thought the last thing this kid said to me in the parking lot of his apartment was, "I'll see you tomorrow." And I thought, and then I never heard from the person again. And I thought, wow, that's really dark. I thought, I gotta like, this is real. It kind of like messed me up. And it wasn't even about the guy. I just thought, if this is where we are as a society, that things are disposable, that there's something really dark about that. It's like
Yes.
the Middle Ages. There's something like really weird about that. And I thought, what is this? And then it sort of made me start to look at my own psychological patterns and the people that I was attracting, and friendships too, not just like relationship stuff, like, and then I learned about attachment theory. I started studying about attachment theory and anxious attachment styles and avoidant attachment people and, secure attachment, all that stuff. And then I thought, and trauma bonding, and what is that from? And like things from your childhood, and why do, breaking those patterns. So, because we can all say that we can all have the victim mentality and say, oh, this happened to me and everything sucks, and blah, blah, or you can learn from something. So what was the takeaway? What was the lesson? What was like, this was a weird, dark thing. And it put me in a really dark place, because I thought, this is kind of really weird. Like the first one day, it's like, oh, my friends wanted me to go out with them, but all I want to do is be with you. That's why I wrote To Be With You. It was basically taking a conversation of a love bomber and turning it into a song. But then the full circle moment was the song ended up being about me and my fiance, Kevin. So you turn these things into a positive. So long story short, the album was basically the only rule I made for myself. I didn't want to stylistically limit myself. The only rule I made for myself was writing songs that were based on something that actually happened to me, and then turning those into something, and staying true to the story, like not trying to like take Hollywood license, I wanted the story to be something true. So that was the challenge, because then it was like, oh, this would be a cool song to do, but I never had that happen to me, so I can't do that song, So, so that was so the writing of the 10 songs was all based on actual things that happened, very specifically,
So you think
so that was
a bad trait has developed in humanity, and it's that well, certainly in people with the first world problems, that everything has become disposable, whether it's things or people, or the whole ideology is if you don't like something, just go through your house and throw everything out. I see my neighbor's trash and I'm like, oh, there's a brand new computer, and there's a stroller nobody used, and there's no thinking that, hey, maybe you might want to put that up like on Nextdoor, because there might be somebody who can't afford a stroller or doesn't have a computer. It's just this whole, nah, I'll just throw it out, I don't care. And I think that has transferred into this really strange thing about everything, right? We buy enormous amounts of food we don't need, and then we just dump it in the trash the next day. And these patterns have sort of turned into our interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
And this whole idea that everything is disposable. So one minute, oh, I'm totally in love with you. And then the next minute, I'm not feeling it. I think I'll just never call him back again. I mean, and we do that. And it's become a thing. I don't do that, but people do it.
Accountability. It's like there's no accountability.
There's no accountability. There's no thought of how it's going to land on somebody else. And it's just like, oh, I don't care anymore, so I'm done. We're dropping our pets off at shelters. Like,
Ugh.
it's just like 1 minute it's just not convenient anymore for us to have whatever. And so we just go, oh, whatever, I'm moving on. And I worry that as a species, we're becoming incredibly detached from
That's
everything.
yeah.
And I'm a person who, like, I'm an over attacher, so that's my own problem. I've had to work on my whole life. But I find that many people are becoming so unattached, and they just walk into something and they're all in, and then they just turn around and they're out, and there's no accountability of it at all, and or how it would make somebody feel to tell them how much you want to be with them and then just never call them again. I see this a lot, obviously, in my spiritual practice. The love issues, right, is a lot of my practice, so I
Sure,
see it all
sure.
the time. Just like, but the last thing he said to me was, I love you so much and I'll talk to you tomorrow, and then he never came back. I mean,
It's
it's
weird.
leaving somebody waiting for you to come back. Like, I always think of the story of the lady at the Chelsea Hotel, right, who stayed in that room for months and waited for her fiance to come on the Titanic, and she never got that he wasn't going to show up someday. It's like all people all over the world now are sitting around waiting for these weirdos to come back. And we need to do something about that. We need to make sure as a species that we don't become so detached
The
that we
only way we
forget.
can do something is to individually talk about it like we are right now, because
Yes,
I felt like I had to do something. The album started with that. I was like, I've got to like talk because it's not acceptable. Sorry, like it's not an acceptable
not
form of
okay.
behavior
Yeah.
for anybody. I don't care about what happened to me or whatever. But as a society, is there's a bigger problem at stake. Like everything you're saying is 1,000% true. And I feel like the more people like don't accept it, and the more that people discuss it and just go, oh, that happens all the time. Because when I talk to some younger people,
Right.
they're like, oh, that
Yeah.
happens all the time, like as if
Yeah.
it's not like it's normal. That's why they're all jumping over freeway overpasses.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
It's
had
like,
one client say to me once, maybe in her late 20s, well, it's a numbers game. You meet as many people as you can, and you get involved with as many as you can. And then, if half of them do it, well, okay. And if 90% do it, well, okay. It's a numbers game. Like, you pile up like 100 boyfriends, hoping that maybe like two of them won't mess you around. I mean, I just think that we
that's
need to
weird.
think about what the idea of bonding with another soul is,
Yeah.
and how it's not something that's just a disposable thing. That's not like, one day you buy Snickers and then you burn out, and then you only buy Milky Way after that. Like, it's not like that. You're talking about another human being on the other end. And I really think that this. I'm glad we're having this discussion. So, what song should we play?
Well, I mean, the song, I mean, we can place Ghosted because we just talked about that, but
Yeah,
there's a
we could
song
do
that
that.
I do want to share with you that's not a video. But that wouldn't be good, is it? Because I have 3 videos out. There's like going to
Yeah,
be
I would love to get the videos rolled in, just
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'd like to get them. We can do songs without video next time.
Let's do Ghosted just because we just talked about that. It's
I
kind
just
of
invited you back. All right, this is Ghosted. What's the album called, Greg?
the album's called To Be With You.
Wonderful. Let's do it.
I'll see you tomorrow. Why'd you go and disappear? Haunting me and all my fears. Dream a nightmare full of tears. Stars and signs joined us together deep in our minds. But scars, dark skies, block the connection that's in your eyes. The last thing you said was, I'll see you tomorrow. What was real and what was true? Said you were just me. Dreaming that we're through.
It's the Sheena Metal Experience, only on Parapod TV, and my guest is Greg O'Connor, and that is Ghosted from his new album. Wow, that's beautiful, sweetheart. How do you how much when you wrote that song, were you already past the trauma of the ghosting, or did you write that sort of right in the middle of it?
I think I wrote it when I was still kind of getting over it. I think I was probably past the individual that did it, but I was still traumatized by the premise of the fact that that's even a thing. If that makes any sense.
No.
Maybe I'm just completely out of touch, but like I don't remember back when I was like in my 20s that was a thing. But maybe
No.
like somebody, you'd go to a bar and you go, "Hi, I'm Greg. Can I buy you a drink?" And then you'd like give somebody your phone number.
Yeah.
And if the person didn't call, that's not really like ghosting. I don't
Uh,
remember anybody ever doing that
no.
to me, or I don't think I never did that to anybody. But
No, I don't think. I'm sure it happened, but I don't think it was as prevalent, and I don't think
yeah.
people got as involved. I think back then people just said like, "It's not you, it's me." You know what I mean?
I'd rather have somebody say, "You know what, you're an idiot," or I thought I was ready, but I'm not, or this. I just rather have somebody like say something.
Yeah.
I don't like uncertainty. I like definitions. But the thing is, that's part of my control. Who knows?
Well, no, I think it's people. I think there are people now that just feel like it's okay to go away whenever they want and show back up whenever they feel like it, and that it's just going to be okay. I think that we live in a world now where two things are not good. It's important we listen to people's stories, and it's important that people feel like they've said their truth. But I think some people use the expression and the ideology behind my truth
It's funny.
as an excuse to live their whole life with the me camera on their forehead.
Yeah.
And it's all about, but it's my truth. And I'm thinking, well, you know what? I think if you sat down with Hitler, he probably would tell you what his truth was. It doesn't mean it's okay. And I have to work in my practice with a lot of my clients to say, well, you know what I mean? There's your truth and there's the other person's truth, but then there's also the truth. And we can't forget what the truth is.
Truth.
And it may be your truth to ghost somebody, but it doesn't mean that the truth is that that's okay. So I think that's part of it. Is and the other thing is, I think that people are so desperate to hang on to control that they want to be the one that just decides. Look, nobody wants to call somebody and say, you know what, I think you're great, but I'm not feeling it, or I think you're so great, but I bet somebody else.
My thing is always grow a pair.
Oh, exactly.
That's what I say. You know what? If you're raised inside of a device. You know what I mean? If you're raised inside of a device, it's easy just to hide behind that device. Like it's like they're now giving like 3-year-olds, iPads with plexiglass around it. So when they spill their macaroni and cheese, they're sitting there on like a computer. It's like rewiring these people's brains.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, but I think we like to generationally blame generations.
Oh, I don't think it's generation. I think
I think
it's
people
totally
my age are
generational cause.
ghosting like old fools. And it's like, I don't know what you think you're doing. I think that you either have a sense of accountability or you don't. And somebody should raise you with that. But that's not even an excuse, because you can have a really bad childhood and be a really good person. God knows my mother was. So you have to, do you want to be the kind of person that just disappeared somewhere? I mean, it's like a hit and run, right? It's like a soul hit and run.
That's a
You really
great
want
expression.
that person who runs over someone in the street and
That's
then
a
drives
song.
away.
That's a song you and I should write, a soul hit
Yes,
and run.
soul hit and
It
run.
could be like
That's
sort of like an Eagles song. We should write. That would be cool.
exactly.
It's
We
very
should.
like
I
Fleetwood
think we
Mac.
should. Yes. For your next album and for my next album with my new band, we definitely should. Soul hit and run. Because it's what it is, right? And it's not okay. It's because you leave another person like really sad and really messed up, and we've all had it happen to us, right? I mean, even back in the day it happened. I mean, we blame it on now. I remember when my first year of college, I met a guy in a guitar class and I was crazy about him. We went on a couple dates. Everything was great, super romantic. Everything was I remember I lent him my Beatles songbook, which I never, the big thick black one with the gold writing. And never, if I had been crazy about him, I would not have lent him that.
Yeah.
And then one day he just never called me again. Never called me again. And he never came back to class.
You never gave the songbook back?
No, eventually I got the songbook. So I'm thinking, oh my God, he's dead. I'm like the lady at the Chelsea Hotel waiting for the Titanic guy to come.
Yeah.
He's dead. Something happened to him. He never came back to class. And then one day I'm walking to my car after class and I see him walking in the parking lot. And I was like, hey, I chased him down because Greg, I was 19. And I was like, hey, what happened? He's like, oh, my ex-girlfriend came back. So we got back together. And I'm like, and you didn't call and you didn't come back to class, and where's my book? So he did drop off my book. So the book was saved. But like, what? I mean, but I just think some people just emotionally follow their nose, right? Well, okay, well, this is good.
It was like in Sex and the City when Berger breaks up with her, like on a Post-it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's so funny. This is a weird story. And then we'll play your next song. I used to work with somebody on the air who was dating a guy from a very famous 80s band, and they were engaged, and he had given her some big fancy piece of jewelry that was his mother's with the engagement. So one day she gets a call from the band manager. Hey, can you meet me for a second downstairs in the hotel? And she went to the restaurant to meet him. And he was like, well, just want you to know the engagement's over. He's breaking up with you. And he would like his ring back. So, I guess even before the internet, there were scoundrels.
Wow, that's funny.
You just had to look for the scoundrels, I mean, really, you can't break up with your own fiance. That's life, right? So, my producer, Emery, has requested that we do Hard to Say Goodbye next. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, no, that song was funny because originally I had written that with Loki, my friend in South Africa, and it started out. I wrote a motif on the piano. I just went da 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 da, like the way you'll hear at the beginning of it.
Sure.
It was supposed to be a cue for a TV show because I was like scoring something at the time. And then I was like, screw them. I don't want to give them this. It's too good. I don't want to give them this. So I'll just write something else for that and I'll save this. So then I saved it. And then that was like the germ, how that song started. And then the song was basically about being stuck.
Yeah.
And so that's, you'll see it. So it's about being stuck, but it could be about being stuck in life. It doesn't have to be just be a relationship. It's sort of a lot of metaphors of, whatever, but you'll see. And then it sort of evolved into this kind of Beatle-y thing because I love the Beatles. So
it's beautiful. Hard to Say Goodbye. Greg O'Connor, let's do it.
Staring at the ceiling, trying to forget. You're always running round in circles in my head. How many rivers how far can they bend? Taking me back where it all began. Tracing the steps I just don't understand. Love is a game we play, make you act a fool. Love is me that can't get over you. And I'll keep on wondering why. 'Cause it's hard to say goodbye. Trying to forgive you, but I can't forget. I'm living in the gray, but I'm seeing red. How many endings? Here we go again. Pulling me back where it all began. You are the one I just don't understand. Love is a game we play, make you act a fool. Love is me that can't get over you. And I'll keep on wondering why. 'Cause it's hard to say goodbye. Here we go and I'll keep on wondering why. But I see it in your eyes. So it's hard to say goodbye.
It's the Sheena Metal Experience only on Parapod TV. So beautiful. My friend Greg O'Connor, Hard to Say Goodbye from his new album. You have a beautiful voice, sweetheart. It's kind of got this very kind of haunting, ethereal quality to it.
Oh,
A lot of emotion in it. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, like I never really considered myself a singer. I kind of like was how I started singing is like I used to score a lot of variety shows kind of at the beginning of my career, and a lot of times like they just would never give you any time to do something. They'd be like, we need a boy band song and we need it like tomorrow. And so I would have to like do it all myself. And
Yeah.
so I would just like sing all this la 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 and stuff. And it was just like, I was like, okay, well, at least I get medical insurance money from SAG and AFTRA. And then I was just like, I would just do all these things. And I got used to kind of just doing all these different voices. But then like when you're trying to like do the artist thing and you're trying to act out a song, like the Great American Songbook people like Sinatra and Sammy Davis, and it's hard to do that. It's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
And really sound believable. So then you have to know what your strengths and weaknesses are as a vocalist. Like I could fake it through things like on a commercial. I don't want to sound like a jingle singer when I'm doing an album. It's a completely different like mindset.
Yes.
So there were a couple songs on this album that were really hard for me to sing. That one was it was more in my wheelhouse as was Ghosted. The people that kind of influenced me were the sort of like Chicago, Toto,
Sure.
Christopher
Yeah.
Cross,
Yacht
Alan
rock.
Parsons,
I
yacht rock.
said yacht
Exactly.
rock. I'm
I
a
love
yacht rock
yacht rock.
freak. Yacht rock
Yeah.
is my thing.
Yeah. Like I always wanted to be a black girl.
Oh. Yes.
Like I
Yeah.
want to be able to sing funky. I want to be able to sing like Shaka Khan, but I can't. You know what I mean? I can imagine a song that I can write
Yes.
something like that, but I can't do it. You know, there's
But these songs do, they have that kind of tender, vocally, there's a tenderness, which
yeah,
I think is important, because I think one of the things that you connect with in a song is you connect with the energy coming from the lead singer's voice.
sure. Yeah.
So you have to have that in order for folks to connect. But they're just beautifully done. I mean, they're beautifully produced and engineered and mixed, and the
Credit goes to like, you know, also the co-producer for that song and some of the others on the record. There's Loki Rothman in South Africa because he helped mix and produce a few of the songs. But you know, so I just want to give him a shout out.
how hard is it to put a video together, a music video together? I mean, is each one like making a short film? It's like an undertaking, right?
It's an undertaking. It's literally just the same amount of work to do a 5-minute thing than it is to do a 2-hour movie because it's the same nuts and bolts, you know.
Yeah.
So the first video, Ghosted, was directed by my fiance Kevin, and basically he always had this idea of projecting images through smoke, you know, to create like hologram images.
Yeah.
And so the whole, like when you see Ghosted, when we kept, every time you cut away to the instrumentalists, that was Loki's crew in South Africa. They shot there's pieces, and Kevin wanted them to all wear white against a black background.
Wow.
Then Kevin projected those onto a white scrim, put a smoke machine in front of it, and then filmed that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was really he's really creative. He's a genius. I mean, he's an incredible photographer, and just his eye is. He went to Parsons, so he learned all this crazy stuff that it's out of my wheelhouse. So it was when we shot that in the Riverside, and a house in Riverside, this haunted, crazy house that had like scary dolls in it and like old pianos.
I just want to go there and go back and do an investigation.
Oh, it was
investigation there.
There was a gramophone in there that I wanted so badly, like with the horn.
Wow.
It was like,
I've always wanted a gramophone.
Yeah. Oh, actually, it wasn't. It was a Victrola. It was like the
or a
RCA
Victrola.
one.
I'll take either one. Yes.
With the metal horn. It was like that one.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
the house was super cool. It just was perfect for like a haunted movie, a horror movie, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how we did that one. And the second one, I had this vision. I shot that second one in South Africa with a crew that Loki uses for his videos. And Damien, Roy, and Marguerite, shout out to them. You'll see all their credits if you go to YouTube, and you can see all the credits for the people and their social media handles that worked on the song, including the players and stuff. But I had this idea that I wanted that video to feel like one of those performance videos, like an old MTV Unplugged from the early 90s.
Yes,
it
does. Yes.
Witty, you know, like kind of hodgepodge of eclectic furniture, and like, you know, and they found the perfect location. Like I was really picky about the location because I always figure, like, if you don't have a big budget to do a movie or anything, the location really can help that, because you know, people always try to mask the fact that they don't have a good location by never doing any wide shots. They just do everything really close, and it's like, it's such a giveaway, you know, just like bad production sound is, you know. So I was really adamant about just finding the right. That was the hardest one to find the location so far, you know. But so I was really happy with the way that came out, the color correction, the whole thing. Yeah, it's a process, you know.
They're beautiful. They're both so beautiful. I want to make sure we have time to get the third one in, because I know you have an interesting story. So let's set that up and do it.
Great.
No, I mean, you talk about it, then we'll do it. You first, then you first, then video roll.
So Kevin, my fiance, I met him July 1st of last year. So it's almost been a year. When you know, we had some fun. So we started taking all these trips. We have all the same interests. We went to Banff in Canada. We went to Laguna. We went to Philadelphia. We went to the Valley Forge. We went to Palm Springs, and all our hikes and all our things that we've been doing. Went to Malibu, and I wanted all the clips to be things that we actually do.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't need an invitation to a sold out show or VIP parties with all the stars that they know, or take off in a private jet with God knows who, when all I want to do is be with you. So that's the chorus. And Michael Haddad, brilliant lyricist, my co-writer on that song. And so It's basically Kevin had shot some things on Super 8 before, and I thought, God, how cool. So I just took the song and just put any old Super 8 footage. I just found a video of his on his website, and I just pressed play, and I thought, it just works. It's just kind of cool to have it against a Super 8
Awesome.
footage, like old home movies from the 70s or 60s and 70s.
Yes.
So
yes.
that was the idea. So we literally took this camera for 9 months across the world, basically wherever we went, and shot footage. And so that's what you're going to see. So it's basically kind of like, you know, it originally the initial lyric was about this love bombing conversation I had at Steak 48 in Beverly Hills with a nut job, and then it turned out to be a montage, you know, directed and edited and you know, by my.
That's so beautiful.
Full
That's nice.
circle moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's nice when there's a vindication after nut job. Life after nut job. That's our next song we're going to write. Life after nut job. Or that's the title of my next book, Life After Nut Job.
Yeah.
Because I got a couple too. And by a couple, I mean, you know, 12. Okay, so let's do it.
At the same time.
Exactly. Not at the same time. No, they've spaced themselves out conveniently throughout my entire life.
Yeah.
Okay, this is To Be With You, Greg O'Connor from his newest album. Let's do it. And we're back with Greg.
You tell me I should go out, go have fun with your friends. But I already know how the story will end. I can't decide if I'll join. I might as well flip a coin. And so I'm asking what's the point? Don't leave their invitation to a sold-out show, or VIP parties with all the stars that they know, or take up in a private jet with God knows who, when all that I want is just to be with you. Or tropical vacation, I don't wanna go, or a cabin in Aspen under a blanket of snow, or traveling around the world in search of something new, when all that I want is just to be with you. Over and over again, they drag me out on the time, but they're chasing a feeling that I already found. I know they spare no expense to get me off of the fence, but staying with you makes more sense. Don't need their invitation to a sold-out show, or VIP parties with all the stars that they know, or take up in a private jet with God knows who, when all that I want is just to be with you. Or tropical vacation, I don't wanna go, or a cabin in Aspen under a blanket of snow, or traveling around the world in search of something new, when all that I want is just to be with you. All that I want is just to be with you.
So beautiful. It's the Sheena Metal Experience on Parapod TV. That's Greg O'Connor, To Be With You. That's almost sort of like the wrap up, right, Greg? Like that's the happy ending at the end after the trauma and the horror of the ghosting.
Yeah.
Do you think that the whole album tells a story in that sense? I mean, it almost reminds me of what was kids art when we were kids, right? They called concept albums, where it was supposed to take you somewhere from track 1 to track 10.
I was originally going to do that, but it's sort of it's more if you see all 10 songs, which I actually think I sent you as a download, just you can
Yes,
see for
they're
yourself.
wonderful.
Yeah, to me it's more about me being like the song "Home" was almost the title of the album,
Mm.
because it's home was sort of about getting back to a place where that you remember where you felt great and you felt like you were the best, fullest version, the most complete version of yourself. Whether
Yeah.
it was the place you were in, the people that you were with, and just that you want to get that feeling back, and so you try to like
Yeah.
just in your mind bring yourself back to that, you know. And so, but then Kevin, you know, my fiance, and I wrote a song in South Africa. We started writing it. It's called "The Place I've Never Been," and it's there's this place called Mystic, Connecticut. We went to Stonington, Connecticut on a trip where it was near his hometown. And when we drove into Mystic, I just started to cry. I broke down and I thought, I feel like I've been here before. Like there's something about this makes sense. And so the whole like song is all the imagery of all the things that we saw along the way. And I feel like I've been here, and it's like this. So that's what that song is. So the album became more about the place I've never been is not necessarily like a physical place. It's the place in your life that you've never been.
Yeah. That's
And
beautiful.
more in a heightened awareness place.
Would it surprise you to know that Mystic is one of my favorite places in the world?
Wow. No, it doesn't surprise me because I always
I'm a Connecticut girl. I'm from New Haven, and Mystic
Wow.
is amazing. As a matter of fact, it's so impactful in my life that Mystic is one of my favorite words, and it's because of Mystic, Connecticut. People probably think it's because I have a crystal ball, and I do many. But the truth is, it's because Mystic is reminds me of Mystic. So it's one of the places that I think of. Like if I ever left California, where would I go? And that's one of the places I think about.
Well, that's that we're thinking about, like if we got a place back east, it would be either in like Rhode Island, Westerly, Rhode Island, or like in Stonington, you know, or Mystic, you know, one of those places. Because we're going back there again in July. Because you know he grew up in Norwich.
Yeah.
And so like we went back, and his girlfriend is having a christening, and we're going back for that, and it's crazy stuff. But you know what? I want to go back to something you said that blew me away. You said about my truth right before we got on this call today. I was watching a Piers Morgan interview, and the interviewer or the interviewee was saying something about my truth, and he said, "Wait, hold on." He goes, "There is no my truth. I'm a journalist. There's only the truth."
Yes.
And then all of a sudden he said that. It was like so
It's
bizarre.
true. I mean, your truth is supposed to be about the truth is supposed to be about the story of your life and how you feel about things. But unfortunately, it's been warped into this idea that narcissists have decided that their truth is the truth. And that's something that we always need to remember is not the truth. I adore you. Will you come back and we'll do this again? I would love it.
Yes, that'd be great. So good to see you. It's been 10 years since we did the play. Can you believe it?
I know. Okay, how is that even possible?
It's been 10 years this August.
Man.
Crazy. Anyway.
Man, oh yeah, that's right.
August of 2014 was when that was, when the first meeting was, which is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yes, we need to get together and spend more time together. I would love that.
I would love it.
And not just in Mystic, although I would like that as well. Where can people find the album? Where can they find you? And I would love people to know that.
Well, I'm on all the socials. You know, GregO'Connor.com is the website. Greg_O'Connor on Instagram. They can find it all there. All the people that collaborated with me on the record is on there. On YouTube, it's just Greg O'Connor if you search for the songs. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you for being here, my friend. I love and adore you.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
The wonderful Greg O'Connor, everybody. Let's hear it for him. Thank you for being here, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you to Parapod TV and its owner and operator, my dear friend Tony Sweet, for allowing us to be part of his television family. Thank you to my engineer and producer, Emery, the wind beneath my wings. You can find me at SheenaMetalSpiritual.com, everywhere on social media at Sheena Metal. Or why not text me? It's my favorite, 818-437-0886. Let's get to know each other. Until I see you next time, seek peace, live in love, lead with kindness, embrace unity, always work to raise your vibration, and know that you are loved and you are loved and you're so loved by me. I'm Sheena. This is the Sheena Metal Experience, only on Parapod TV. We'll see you next Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. Stay beautiful, and I love you. See you next time.